Hey guys, what's going on? It's Roth. I am so excited. I am here with Julie Ann Emery. Do you know her as Betsy Kettleman from Better Call Saul?
I do. I am not who I play on TV.
I've just learned that because we've been talking about Donkey Kong and Halo and Battlestar.
Yes.
It was hard to get the interview going because it was so much fun talking about that.
I know, we could have spent a morning, right?
But we'll circle back to some of that maybe later. But let's talk about Saul. So
Yes.
Vince Gilligan, I think that I'm getting this right. He basically described your character as a cuddly Bonnie of Bonnie and Clyde, or the friendliest Bonnie of Bonnie and Clyde.
I have not heard that. He and Peter Gould initially described us in the press as the squarest outlaws.
That's what it was. I think I made you into a cuddly Bonnie and Clyde.
I'm not sure I would describe Betsy as cuddly. Mr. Kettleman might be a little cuddly.
He is.
But
I kind of feel bad for him.
Betsy is not so cuddly. I actually think Betsy has scarier things going on the inside than we've even seen. So
I'm so glad you said that because she terrifies me. Yeah, it's funny because I do think he's a little bit cuddly. He seems like he's just so led by her. She's so Lady Macbeth.
You know what I love about Lady Macbeth is a great way to describe it. What I love about Jeremy Shamus's performance is that he's so game. You know, he's like, yeah, we should go with Jimmy. He's a great guy. And she's like, and he's like, no, we shouldn't go with Jimmy. He's a great guy. But he's not upset or mad about it. He's like, no, we're doing this now. He's always so positive that it cracks me up.
Well, and she is totally, she's such an interesting character in that she's absolutely convinced that she's got the moral high ground. You know?
She knows for a fact she has the moral high ground. She also believes very strongly that her version of the truth or version of the world is the truth and is the actual world. Like I don't think I've ever played a character who believes so strongly that you speak your world.
Yeah.
And she believes moral high ground is great. No matter what the law says, she believes that morally she is in the right. Absolutely, all the time. She also believes she's moving all the chess pieces.
She's moving a lot of them for a while.
Yes.
She really actually is moving a lot of them.
She believes she's moving them right up to the last, right up to the breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great moment of defeat, but how do you think, one thing that left me curious is how does a woman like this recover from that defeat? Because I just don't think she takes anything laying down.
Well, obviously I'm not writing it, but I agree with that. I think what is fascinating to me right now about Betsy is what happens to a woman like that when you take away her dreams, her version of the world, her place in the world, all of her money, because she has no job.
Yeah.
And her ability to feed her kids. Because if there is any redeeming quality for Betsy Kettleman, it's that she does love her family.
Yeah.
In her own way, obviously.
Oh yeah, Team Kettleman.
Yes, but she loves them and I think believes that she's doing everything for them. So what happens when you take away her ability not just to achieve her dreams and her dreams for her family, but her ability to feed her kids, literally, and take care of her family?
Talk a little bit about finding this character with Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, the creators. Yes. You guys I believe you shot almost all of season 1 before it aired, yeah?
We shot all of it. We wrapped the first week of October.
Okay.
And didn't start airing until February.
What was it like for you on set? Did you feel the weight of Breaking Bad or like the weight of the expectation? It's been so well received, but...
Well, you can't walk around like with that and do what you need to do, right? You can't do, but there was a total lack of sleep for me leading up to it, and it was definitely nerve-wracking. Yeah. And my character is also named after Betsy Brandt, so there's an entire other level of I don't know, pressure and expectation. That said, I had worked with Bob Odenkirk on Fargo, and we became pals, and
It's another great series. Love that series.
Yeah, I had a really lucky year. I worked with the best writers and directors in television for a year. It was great. But Bob is, he's one of my favorite people. He's a lovely guy. That helped. And Vince is one of the most kind and welcoming people on the planet. So you arrive on set and are immediately sort of enveloped in goodness, and that trickles down to the entire cast. I think Vince and Peter are inherently attracted to talent and niceness. So you wind up surrounded by a lot of really decent, wonderful people who are wildly talented. And there's no better space to jump off a cliff like Betsy Kettleman in.
Yeah.
I mean, and she was jumping off a cliff for me. She was tough. Getting into her headspace was tough, but I can't imagine making that leap in any other space.
Yeah, well, I think that people attract people that they're like, and they seem purely kind. But did you guys talk openly? Did you have conversations about the differences between these two worlds? Because it's obviously you feel the link, but one of the things I love about Saul is that it is so much its own story.
Well, I always thought of it, I was a huge Breaking Bad fan, huge. And marathoned it again before we started shooting. And Breaking Bad was tonally, I think what you're talking about is tone.
Right.
Was very much Walter White's world. And the tone of Breaking Bad shifted as he got darker.
Right.
I mean, the first season of Breaking Bad was, I thought, pretty funny.
It was funny throughout.
And
it just
quirky
got
at
darker.
times,
Yeah.
but it got a lot, as he got darker, so did the show.
Yeah.
And Better Call Saul is Saul's world. So it's not all wild and wacky, but I think that's the tonal difference. There is a quirkiness to it that they steer toward instead of away from, like they did on Breaking Bad. That said, everything is grounded very much in reality.
Yeah.
They were very committed to, as out there as the Kettlemans were, everyone was very committed to them being recognizable, actual people walking around in the world. And but I think that could be the really interesting thing as this show moves along as well, as Jimmy becomes Saul. How will the tone of the show change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the big difference for me too, obviously they're different actors and different stories, but Jimmy's has been fighting this season, his descent.
Yeah.
Walter White embraced it. He sort of reveled in his fall.
Well, he was delighted by it.
He was
and
delighted.
Jimmy is angsted by it. I mean, Jimmy is, there's so much internal conflict for him. And I'm curious to see if that will become less and less so or more and more so. Yeah. On Breaking Bad, it became less and less so. Like Walter White, there came a moment in the middle of the series where he just fully embraced it. He was like, this is who I am. Yeah.
It's funny about your character because as much as she's in this insane denial about her own life, she has these moments where she speaks these truths. That's what I found about her, and she says to him, "You are the kind of lawyer that guilty people hire."
Yeah, I
which
know.
is
That's
true.
really rough, isn't it?
So mean, but it's true, right?
It is true. And she really nails it.
Yeah.
But that's Betsy's power, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's not, as much as some people might want to think she's an idiot, she's not.
No.
I mean, she
Who
really
thinks she's
is
an idiot?
reading this. I don't know, some people are like, the Kettlemans are so stupid. And I'm like, oh, they're not so stupid. They stole $1.6 million before they got caught. But I think she really has a bead on cutting right to the heart of someone. I think she really sort of, if she's anything, she's an expert manipulator. And she really cut right to getting what she wanted there.
Yeah, and she's she reads the situation right until, like you say, in the end. Let's talk about that. So have you guys talked about, I want more Kettlemans, I think lots of us do. Have you guys talked about if there's room for them continuing on in this world?
Okay, so I think we all know that AMC and the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul world are hardcore about spoilers, right?
Yes.
I can say that Peter Gould this week did an interview with Deadline, and he was talking about, they're in the midst of the writing process right now for season 2, and he said on the sideboard they have a list of characters that they'd like to see show up, and the Kettlemans are at the top of that board. So I think there are no guarantees. I think the writers really love the Kettlemans. I would love to see the Kettlemans come back, but it has to make sense for the show. I mean, the show has to serve the purpose of Jimmy McGill becoming Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
So, and everything should absolutely serve that. So I don't know, we'll see. I hope Betsy's not done. I really love playing her.
I hope she's not done. It just quickly tell us, in your mind, I know you're not the one writing it, but if you could imagine how she would show back up.
I pitched a lot of things to them for showing back up, as did our DP, Arthur. I think you know, when you think about the show in a wacky kind of way, like Betsy, I think it could be really funny if she showed up in an Aaron Brockovich way and was like, give me a job because I can't feed my kids, and she became like his receptionist or something. But I think what they're more fascinated by, and they're right, is how much she hates Jimmy right now. And where can there be mileage out of that?
She tried to mess with him?
Yeah, maybe. I always thought the Kettlemans would be great money launderers. Or, I mean, they obviously her political dreams for their family are probably crushed.
They are crushed.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're crushed in her mind yet, but they're probably crushed. But I think there's something to be had there with somebody put a meme up and sent it to me on I get sent all kinds of Betsy stuff on Twitter now. And that said, Betsy Kettleman would run the most successful and scariest PTA bake sale ever. And
she's like what's
something Gus Fring like. I think there's something to be had there, you know, about some kind of front business for something. I don't know. I have no idea. This is just me spitballing. But
I like it. I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense if you think about that's sort of one of Saul's specialties, right?
Yeah, and Vince, I did the Insider podcast for episode 7. And Vince said, somebody said, what would happen if Marie and Betsy met in real life?
Yeah.
Betsy Brandt's characters. And I said, we'd be shoplifting at Prada and selling it out of the back of our car. And Vince said, no. You'd make Marie shoplift at Prada, and then she'd come out and you'd say, I think that salesman saw you. We have to go kill him now. So I think in their minds they've gone dark with Betsy, which I think would be fascinating.
That sounds amazing. I hope that you show up again. I hope that we see more Betsy. Love that character so much. Have loved this season. What's sort of the pinnacle moment for you?
The pinnacle moment for Betsy, like in her revelry or in her, I mean, in a positive way, when she actually gets Jimmy to take the bribe in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
That's a great moment for her. From an acting point of view, the moment when she breaks is, I mean, that scene starts in one place, goes somewhere else, and ends up in a wildly different place. So as an actor, that's something that you don't get particularly on television very often.
Yeah, this series has been such a joy. I think we knew that Bob Odenkirk was an incredible talent, but man, this has been a great platform for him and the entire supporting cast.
Yeah, I think no one expected Bob to have the depth that he has on it. He's always been so funny. He's such a brilliant writer, but he's dwelled in the comedy world for so long. But I knew from Fargo, he's got deep waters going on. I'm really pleased for him and happy for him. It couldn't be happening to a nicer person. And Jonathan Banks, too, is like a cuddly bear in real life. He's great. Everyone's great. The last episode for Patrick Fabian was terrific. For Ray Seahorn was terrific. I can't wait to see where they go with Nacho, with Michael Mando's character.
Nacho's a great addition.
Yeah, and the twist with Michael McKean's character, with him being the one that was holding I know. Don't be mad.
I'm mad.
Yeah, but how brilliant was Michael McKean's performance? No one saw that coming.
So brilliant.
No one saw that coming.
I was so mad at him, though.
I'm fangirling over my own show right now.
I was mad at him, though. I was so mad at Chuck. I was like, damn you, Chuck.
I know, but nobody saw it coming.
I will say this, though. The week before, the flashback scene where Jimmy tells him that he passed the bar. And his face. He's such a brilliant actor.
Just that one moment. You're like, why is he being weird?
Why is he being weird?
He's just surprised. Like but he had that moment, just the thought crossed his mind.
And it came out.
And nothing else. He's just really brilliant.
That moment, I wrote a review that night, and I said Chuck is going to betray his brother. Because that moment told me that, like in Family Dynamics, he will not. His identity is wrapped up in looking at his brother as something lesser. He can't see him as an equal. And everyone yelled at me, and then he did.
Did everyone yell at you here or online? Of course. Yeah, well, you called it. You were inside Michael McKean's inner monologue at that moment.
But all of the performances, I mean, it sounds like, overblown to say, but it's really true. All of the performances are brilliant. This is such a remarkable cast.
Well, the writing is remarkable, and when you marry really great actors with great writing in an atmosphere where they can take chances, in an atmosphere where they can all jump off a cliff, I think you're always going to wind up with good performance. You know, they have great taste in artists. They have great taste in writers. The cinematography on the show is gorgeous. Yeah. The wardrobe is so specific. Even the freaking hair pieces. I mean, how many wigs for men do we have on our show right now? Yeah. I think they set up a perfect storm for people to succeed. It's really a lovely place to work. I feel really fortunate to have played in their sandbox for a little while. I hope I get to go play in it again.
And have created really one of the more fascinating Lady Macbeth, modern Lady Macbeth characters.
I don't think we've had a woman like her.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
And they really ran with it. After we shot Vince directed the first episode, and I'm not sure that they had a finger on the Kettlemans either. We had time. Sony and AMC were gracious enough to give us extra time to shoot the first episode, and we had time to explore the characters on set and to explore the whole thing with the Kettlemans finishing each other's sentences was something we found with Vince, that sort of Robert Altman-like kind of dialogue between them, and that lent to their relationship in a huge way without it ever having to be expositional. And I think, and they really went back to square one after that and rewrote our boards and rewrote where our story was going. They became kind of fascinated with the characters. It was so collaborative. And when that situation happens where it's that collaborative, it elevates everything. We all got really lucky that we were working in the way we worked. And I'm so lucky to have had Jeremy Shamus as a partner. He's a brilliant theater actor in New York, so he really values rehearsal. So we would get together, but we didn't want to lose the spontaneity in the scene, so we would just improvise. Or we would send each other YouTube videos of like people who were oddly positive on the outside, but inside you were like, who is buried in your backyard? You know, we were finding all of these. We had a very geeky process through the whole thing.
I love it. It's been so good to talk to you about this. Looking forward. Hope you're going to return on Better Call Saul, but we'll be watching you and whatever you're up to next.
I just finished a pilot. The entitled Johnny Knoxville pilot. I'm a little Southern right now because I've been speaking in my native dialect for the last few weeks. But it's about Johnny Knoxville growing up in the late 70s, early 80s in the South. I play his 10-year-old self's mom, and she is quite the character.
I bet if you raised Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, she's not like Betsy Kettleman, but she is quite the character.
All right, well, we're looking forward to that and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go talk about Halo now.
Yes, I need recommendations for my new Xbox One.
You can tweet recommendations.
I'll take them all at Julie Ann Emery.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.